How much can you make as a pipeline welder in Texas? I got 4 check stubs here working 40, 50, 60, and 70 hours. I'm going to show them to you so you can look at the numbers. Now, why am I doing this? The reason why I'm doing this is for educational purposes. There's a lot of people that don't know what a trade actually pays. There's a lot of people also that think that welders make very low, and some guys think that welders make a lot of money. So we're gonna go ahead and go into the facts. Now, whenever you talk about welding, you need to understand that welding is such a big word. There's all kinds of welders out there. There's shop welders, sub-arc welders, there's specialty welders, there's combo welders. I started working as a structural welder, then I became a combination pipe welder, and then I became a pipeline welder. These are what these checks are for. These are pretty much average wages in Texas. So let's get into it. Now, the way that you get paid is 3 different ways. The first way that you get paid is you get paid for your arm. That's going to be an hourly rate. Now, in order for you to be a rig welder, you need to have your own truck and tools. So you get paid for your rig. Your rig also gets an hourly rate that does not get taxed. I got it in here as well. And finally, you get a per diem rate. Now, what is per diem? Per diem is pretty much what companies will give you to go work because you're going to be traveling out of state, right? You're not going to be working in your backyard, in your hometown. Most of us welders are travel welders. So we might live here in South Texas, but we might be working in Oklahoma. We might be working in Dallas, in Houston, etc. So some of the numbers that you're going to see is not only the time that you put in, but also all of the sacrifices that you have to make. Because if you work 60 hours and you're 8 hours away from your house, well, that pretty much lets you know that you don't see your family very often, especially when you are working in the pipeline. So 40-hour work week. How much did I get paid? So I get paid $45 an hour. I get $16 an hour for my rig. That is non-taxed, and $125 a day per diem. What did I get to keep after taxes? Let me show you. As you can see right here, 40 hours is what I work. That's the rate. That is the amount of money that I got paid. That's the only thing that gets taxed. You got 4 days, $125 a day per diem. That is equals to $500. Your rig, 40 hours, $16 an hour. I get that. And they also used to pay me for my phone. That is pretty much what it comes out to. And that is the gross pay. What did I get to keep after taxes? So as you can see right here, total gross pay, and that is the net pay. That is what was deposited into my account for working 40 hours in 1 week. Let's go to the 50-hour work week. All right, the 50-hour work week, as you can see, I have 40 hours of overtime, 10 hours of overtime. So you add that up, that's the per diem, rig pay. Remember, these two are non-taxed. And then you get your phone. That is the amount for 50 hours. And right here, the net pay for working 50 hours, 5 days. That is what was deposited. 60 hours. As you can see, overtime 20 hours. It's all broken down right there. It equals out to that. And you got your net pay for 60 hours. That's what was deposited. That's how much taxes they took out. And you got a 70-hour work week. Right there, you see that. And what I get to keep, that is what was deposited. That's how much I paid of taxes in 1 week. So to some people, this might be a little bit of money. To some people, it's going to look like it's a lot of money. To people that are making lots and lots of millions of dollars, it's not going to be nothing. And that's perfectly fine. Now, this was a trade that I landed into. I started from the bottom. It took me a long time to make checks as big as this, right? If you go to welding school and you get out, you're not going to be making this money right off the bat. It's going to take you a few years in order for you to start making a few grand a week. And then eventually, you know, after you build up enough network, enough connections, you start getting, you know, bigger jobs. But it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. The biggest thing with kids joining welding school is they think that by going to welding school, that automatically guarantees them a spot in the pipeline, a spot in the refineries. And truthfully, after you finish your welding school, it doesn't mean nothing. You might have to start as a welder, helper, as a labor hand even. You might even have to start as a scaffold builder and then work your way into, you know, welding. Because that's what I did. I started as a helper, then I became a structural welder, and you know, it took me years to finally progress and be able to, you know, buy all of my tools, a truck, machine, bevel machines, leads. That is very expensive. That is realistically what welders are making. Now, some might be making a little bit less. I'm talking about the pipeline industry. And some other ones are going to be making more because the wages change depending on the demand of welders. If you're working in an area where there's not a lot of welders and they need welders, well, guess what? The pay's going to go up. If there's an oversaturation of welders and everybody's taking the job offers, well, that's going to bring the wages down. Now, this is not a traditional job that you just land and you automatically start getting job after job after job. You're always chasing it. You're always looking for work. You finish one job and you got to go find another job. Unless you're in a union somewhere. But, you know, Texas is a non-union state. But for the most part, you're always chasing work. It is not a traditional job. And I want to emphasize that. This is not a traditional job. There's a lot of factors that will affect work, like the administration in the White House. There's a war, you know, economics might change the industry. There's so many variables that change, and you have to stay competitive. And with social media and me showing these numbers, there's a lot more kids trying to join the trades because they think that this is the easiest way for them to be able to make money. And in a sense, it could be, but it is not a very easy transition. You have to go through a lot of trials. You have to go through a lot of connections. You have to meet a lot of people till you finally get your shot. And then while you're doing that, you're also going to encounter a lot of times where you're barely learning how to weld. X-ray quality welds, you're gonna get fired. If you get two X-ray welds, bad shots in a job site, well, guess what? They're going to fire you, and you can't retest until 6 months later. So you might have to go somewhere else and look for work. This is the industry. Again, this is only for educational purposes, so that you can get a general idea of what welders in the pipeline in Texas are making. So if you ever considered it, you know, these are real numbers. These are my personal checks so that you can see what it's like. Again, if you think that it's little, it's a lot, let me know in the comments and let me know what you think. If you have any other questions, again, drop them in the comments. And guys, please hit the like button. You know, drop a comment. It helps me. I'm trying to grow this YouTube, and we'll go from there. Thank you for watching.